Okay, so today we are start recording. Okay. All right, guys. Today I have brought to you everyday conversation in English, some dialogues, um, some introduction in small talks. I'm going to give you example. You can see on my screen. If you just learn these things, you could easily, carry on the conversation. It's going to be completely in English. The first thing is, if you want to learn English, you have to learn English in English, not in your other language, okay? Not in your mother tongue or national language. Now look at our screen. So we're going to start with introduction and small talk, okay? The introduction will include formal greetings, informal greetings, and farewell goodbyes, formal introduction, and informal introduction. Now, at this stage, I believe that you already know what's the difference between formal greeting and informal. Informal is anything that you, what's going on with the screen? Do you want to change? No, I don't want to change. Sorry for the disturbance, okay? Informal is, let's suppose you're talking to your mates, your friends, informal is like you're going to an office, you're talking to a teacher, you're talking to any person that you do not have personal connection with, it's formal talk. So formal is more polite language, okay? And then we're gonna talk about what time is it, like how to tell the time, a telephone call, a phone call, or a WhatsApp call, okay? Can you say that again? Another dialogue, and then coincidence. We're gonna talk about coincidences and weather report. And ignore this area of the screen. We're just gonna focus on the introduction part. Stop keep giving me these notifications, okay? Do not disturb me. Okay, scroll down, keep an eye on the screen. Okay, the screen is to zoom. Okay, introduction in small talks. Okay. All right, so we have formal greeting. Okay, we have two. Okay, as I told you, the formal greeting is when you are talking to a teacher or any service person or anything. Somebody who is not personally related to you, okay? So we have a conversation between a student and a professor. So the student name is James and professor is Professor Austin, okay? Now look at their conversation and try to learn something out of it, okay? So the James is opening the conversation. Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing? Stop giving me this notification. Okay. Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing? So it's a formal conversation. And the professor replies, good morning, James. I'm doing well. And you? Good morning, James. I'm doing well. And you? With a question mark. And you? How are you? James replies, I'm great. Thank you. This is my friend Emma. So James is introducing one of his friend, Emma. Okay. This is my friend Emma. She is thinking about applying to this college. She has a few questions. Would you mind telling us about the process, please? James brought a friend who is interested in studying in the same college, but she got some questions. And James asked the professor if you are willing to answer a few questions if you have time, in a polite way. And Professor Austin talks to Emma. Hello, Emma. It's a pleasure to meet you. So professor is happy that they are having a new student. Hello, Emma. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm more than happy to speak with you. Please stop by my office next week. So the professor gave Emma a time and a date for a meeting. Now Emma is talking. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Thank you so much for helping us. And Professor Austin replies, don't mention it. Don't mention it. No worries. It's okay. It's on me. My pleasure. Welcome. Okay? Don't mention it. Hopefully, I will be able to answer your question. Now, how many times you have been to an office or somewhere and you're having these sort of formal conversation? We're going to also look at informal conversation as well. Now, here is the image. Professor Austin, James, and Emma. Okay? You having an idea? You getting an idea? Professor James in between, Professor Austin in between, James on the right, and Emma on the left. Okay? Okay, now look at some of the notes. Okay, all right. Language notes. So the greeting good morning or good afternoon, good evening are used at different times. Okay, different time of the day to greet people. Good evening is often used after 6 p.m. Or generally when the sun has set. So after sunset, it's evening. Good night is not a greeting. Good night is not a greeting, okay? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening are greetings. Good night is just saying bye. Good night is not a greeting. It is used when leaving a place or group of people. Thank you and good night. Good night and see you tomorrow. Like, let's suppose the conversation they were having, James, Emma, and Professor Alston. Let's imagine it was a night and the Professor Alston gave them time. And then the Emma or James replies, okay, good night, Professor Austin. We'll see you next week. So they are just saying bye. Okay. Now, as we talked about, don't mention it, and I gave you other synonyms for don't mention it. It's my pleasure. Don't mention it. It's my pleasure. You're always welcome. Remember? Okay. Now, as we see, don't mention it. We already discussed that don't mention it is another way of saying you are welcome, and you are welcome is the most formal way of saying thank you. But you know, sometimes the professor they try to get closer to their student and make them feel comfortable, so they say don't mention it, which is informal way. So when somebody say don't mention it, no problem, happy to help. It's an informal. Okay. And this was our first lesson of formal conversation, okay?